Hello Werewolf Army, this is Jaden's Videos, and I am back with another Wolfman review, and this Wolfman review is on the Spirit Halloween 2007 and 2008 Chin Up Zombie. I was recently able to get this prop, actually earlier this month, thanks to Tyler X71. I found it on Mercari. I didn't even know Tyler was selling it until a little bit later, but I found it on Mercari for $200, which is already a very reasonable price for Chin Up Zombie, seeing how rare he is. But I offered $150 and he took it, which I think is a pretty good price for this guy. Now, the reason he sold it to me for so cheap is because it's not in the best condition, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But for now, well, I'll just tell you the mouth doesn't move and it is dry rotting. Now, the dry rot is bad in some spots, but the overall prop is not that bad with the dry rot. If he's taken care of, and he's obviously in an air-conditioned room right now, he's not in the garage, and I don't plan to put him in the garage because then he would dry rot more and then you'd just be completely ruined. So if he's taken care of, then he's going to be perfectly fine even with the dry rot. So I'm not really worried about it. But anyways, the reason I got this guy is, well, one, he's just a really cool prop, but the reason I got him now is because, as you guys know, I'm doing a laboratory theme, and you're probably thinking, okay, how is Chin Up Zombie related to a laboratory? Well, I actually had a section in the haunt that I wanted a prop like him, and he actually popped into my mind when I was thinking about it. I wanted a prop like him to go in. Obviously, I never thought I'd be able to get the opportunity to get him before Halloween, but it was crazy that I came across him like a week after I had this thought. But there's a part of the haunt that I want him to go in, and it's the victim room in the lab in the haunt. If you guys watch the blueprints, that's where like all the victims are kept to be experimented on later. So he's just going to be pretty much someone being experimented on in the lab, and he's tied up, and he really fits the aesthetic of the first section of the haunt that's all steampunk-like, because his, well, of course he's not steampunk, but his colors fit the color scheme that I'm going for, so it definitely works. So yeah, he's not a lab prop at all, but he's really a prop that can fit in multiple themes. I think a farm theme would probably be best for him, so if I would have had him last year, that would have been awesome, just because there's a lot of hangmen and stuff on a farm and stuff like that. But you know, he's going to work really well in the haunt, even though he's not a specific lab prop. I definitely have an area in the haunt that I want him to go, and he's going to work great. So anyways, let's get into the prop itself. So he is a really cool looking prop. I'm sure most of you guys have seen him before, but he's really cool, and I forgot how cool he was for a short amount of time, and then I remembered how cool he was when I watched some videos on him afterwards, because I didn't remember how good the noose was and stuff. I don't remember it being that noticeable, but then I watched some videos because I was looking at the stock images, and the stock images that Spirit had for him back then weren't that good. And so I watched some videos and I started to like him a lot more. So he's definitely one of the most disturbing props Spirit has ever sold, because he's, I wouldn't really consider him a zombie, because though you would be dead if all of the lower half of you was cut off like that, you wouldn't die instantly. So I think of him as like a guy in his last moments of life, because he screams and everything, and he doesn't really have a too zombie-like appearance. He just looks very, very creepy and just tortured. So he's definitely a tortured prop, and I love tortured props. They're so gruesome, and we don't get enough victim props, and I really think we need to get more victim props, because I've mentioned this before. If you have only monsters and serial killers and whatever in a haunt, I think victims, of course monsters and stuff, they're great. They're the great focal points that you focus on. But I think the victims and stuff really create some good background atmosphere. And so I definitely really want more victim props. So that's one of the reasons I like him. But also, he's so disturbing because he's literally hanging from a noose. Who knows if it was suicide, if it was, if he was hung for being a murderer, or why he was hung. But he's hanging from a noose, and that's really disturbing. And honestly, I'm sure there's a possibility that they might make a prop somewhat like this now, but I don't know if they'd really make a prop like this anymore, because it would definitely be a lot more controversial nowadays. But yeah, he is a really, really cool prop. So his detail is really good. As you can see, there's the dry rot there. It's pretty bad in some spots, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So I think he's going to be fine if he's well taken care of. I really like his face. It looks phenomenal. He looks like he's in a lot of pain with his eyes squinted and his mouth open. It's really cool. And then you've got his, and this is the best part on him dry rot wise. There's like no dry rot here at all. And the head is like hardening, so it will dry rot if he's not taken care of very well. But the body is like perfectly fine. It's like, there's like no dry rot at all noticeable here. So that's good. But you've got his rib cage showing through here, so it's not completely exposed, it's just showing through. So he looks very starved, like he might have been starved before he was hung. And I really like that. And then you've got down here how he's like cut off here. The detail here is not too amazing. I mean, it's really bloody and stuff, which is good, but the blood doesn't really have too much amazing detail to it. I think there definitely could have been more texture, but it's still cool either way. And then you've got the bottom of his spine sticking out there, which I really like. So I really like all the blood splatters and stuff on him. It looks really cool and adds so much to the detail. Now, I didn't mention his noose yet, but the rope is so long. I actually have it zip tied at the top there. Tyler had it zip tied a little bit lower down, but I had to zip tie it even higher up to get him as high up as I wanted him. But he's like it's a really long rope, which is a good thing, obviously, because he's a lot more versatile that way. In the places that you can hang him really high. His noose itself is like really tightly wound around his neck, as you can see, with 3 different, tied around 3 times. He's a really disturbing prop. Now, one thing interesting about him is he doesn't pull, the motor is not in the arms. You may think it is because he pulls himself up, but the motor is actually in the back here, and the noose just goes up and down on the motor. And so that's how that works. But yeah, he's really cool. He's actually a pretty big prop too. He's pretty large. So without further ado, I'll demo him for you guys and you can see what he does. Another thing I want to mention though is how long his adapter is. If you've been a fan of Spirit for a long time and you have a lot of the old props, you'll know that back then YJ in particular was really crazy with long adapters, which I do think is a great thing because you need less extension cords and stuff. So they were really crazy with long adapters back then. Of course, we still get long adapters these days for most props, but really, it's insane how long YJ was with their adapters. It's got to be like 10 feet long when fully stretched out. I don't know. It's got to be really long because it's like their adapters are really long. So, anyways, without further ado, let me demo him for you guys so you can see what he does. So I've got him plugged in, so here we go. And one issue with him is that his sound sensor is not very good. You gotta make a really loud noise for him to go off, which sometimes I guess that's good because he won't be going off constantly, but it's not that good of a sound sensor, which is kind of an issue, but oh well. So let me try to get him to go off here. So he's got a pretty long activation there for just a tortured screaming guy, but it's kind of short, so I'm going to show it to you again. So there he is. What a fantastic prop this guy is. His audio is great, his animation is great, and of course his mouth would have moved, but this one does not have a moving mouth, which I'm actually glad about, because if it did move, then the dry rot on the head would definitely crack from the mouth movement. But so I'm glad that it doesn't move. But he is supposed to have mouth movement, but I'm fine with it not moving, like I said. But that's what he does. He's got a really cool and unique animation trying to pull himself up from the noose so it doesn't choke him. His scream is absolutely fantastic. It's a stock audio scream. It's not a voice actor. It's definitely a stock audio scream. It's a very common stock audio scream too. It's actually a woman's scream, but they pitched it down to sound like a male scream, but I think it's really cool like that. it doesn't sound like they pitched it down, which is good, because most times when they pitch down stock audio, it definitely sounds like they pitched it down. This one doesn't sound like they pitched it down at all. It sounds like that's how it's supposed to be. So that is the audio on him. The audio is fantastic. He's a really cool prop. I would say my biggest complaint with him, obviously I got him for $150, which actually is lower than retail price for this guy. So that's a good price for a rare prop, I think. Even if he's not in the best condition, he's definitely in condition well enough that he works, and I'm not complaining about it because I really am happy to have him, and I think he's going to go great in the haunt this year as like a guy being experimented on. But he the price on this guy is my complaint with him for what his original price was, and I've got to take away claw marks for that just because I got to judge it on the original price, not the price that I got him for. The original price for this guy was $199.99, which I do think is a very high price for a prop like this. Now, he is a very cool prop. He's got a lot of detail. He's got a lot of animation. He's super cool, but he's only half of a body, so I definitely don't think he should have been that much. I think $150 is actually what his retail price should have been, so I've got to take away claw marks for that. But yeah, he was pretty overpriced when he was sold. He's amazing. He's completely foam-filled latex, and he's a really detailed prop and everything. But $200 for him is a lot, seeing as he's only half of a body. But he's still a really cool prop, and let me say, obviously, I'm making this review of him, but this is not obviously a prop that you can just go out and buy. Like most props that I review, you can still go out and buy, because I usually do reviews right when I get new props, and it's not very common for me to review an old prop. So most times that I do reviews, you can just go out and buy that prop. Either when it's during the season, you can go to the stores and buy it, or when it's not during the season, you can just order it online. But this guy, obviously, you cannot just go out and buy this guy. It's going to be very hard to come across one. Now, they do come up for sale sometimes, but they're usually a little over $200. I don't believe he's one of the most expensive old props, but he's definitely over $200 most times. So it's going to be hard to come across him, and even then it's going to be hard to come across him for a price that you might want to pay. There was actually other people that this one that I bought said that they were about to buy this one right before I bought it, so I was just quick on that to get him. So it's a lot of people are looking for this guy, and that really shows how rare he is, because a lot more people who are looking for him would be able to find him if he wasn't so rare. So he's going to be very hard for you to find, but if you can, I highly recommend you purchase him right away, no matter what condition he's in. Well, of course, for a reasonable price if he's in a bad condition, but he's a really cool prop, and I really highly recommend you get him if he's one that you like and want to have, because he's a really cool one, and he's one of the most disturbing props I think Spirit has ever sold. So on the Wolfman Review rating scale, I'm going to give Chin Up Zombie 8 out of 10 claw marks. Like I said, I had to take away for the price. I don't really have any other complaints with him other than the price, but yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed. This was a really special Wolfman review because he's a very old and rare prop, and I've definitely been getting a lot of rare props this year. So far, Rising Swamp Hag, Jumping Bug, Executioner, Chin Up Zombie. Executioner and Rising Swamp Hag I got just because I got a good deal on those, and those are ones I wanted. But Jumping Bug and Chin Up Zombie I got for my haunt. So I think that's all the rare props I'm going to be purchasing for this year now. I think it's all the props that I'm going to purchase until, well, actually Eddie, because I'm getting Eddie hopefully this week. So it's all the props that I'm going to purchase until the season. Well, the season really starts next month. As, like I've already said, I usually consider the start of the Halloween season to be in July, as Halloween is the next big holiday after 4th of July, and all the stores start getting their stuff in July. But, yeah, the season's approaching fast, so I think Eddie is going to be the last prop I get before the season, and all the props that I get from then on are going to be brand new 2020 props, so I'm super excited for that. So this is the last rare prop that I'm getting for the year. I just got a bunch of good deals on these rare props, so I just kept getting them But I normally don't do this. I usually wait until the season to get props so that I can know that I have enough money to get new ones, but I just found some really good deals, so I had to jump on these. But this is probably the last rare prop I'm going to get this year, and probably the last prop besides Eddie that I'm going to get until next month when the season starts. So I hope you all enjoyed this Wolfman review on Chin Up Zombie. The Halloween season is so close. We're getting there. It's going to be here very soon, so stay tuned for more videos. I hope you all enjoyed. Keep howling at the moon, my werewolves.